What's up, guys? It is Russo and Jordy with Backdoor Fantasy Sports. It's Thursday morning. We are going to be talking about the Seattle Seahawks game versus the 49ers playing in Seattle. This should be a really fun game. These single slate primetime games have been pretty sweet lately, thankfully. So we got another good matchup that should be pretty exciting for fantasy and for DFS. And then as soon as we're done with this, we're going to be getting right into our fantasy football podcast for our starts of the week. So stay tuned for that after we wrap this video up. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. This is our picks show. We also have a fantasy football podcast. And if you guys don't mind, give us a like. It just helps us, get in front of a larger audience. It's a really simple thing you can do to help Jordy and I on our little journey here. But we do have 4 picks for you. Before we get into our picks, we just want to remind you that it is Boosttober over on Underdog. So if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use code BACKDOOR, and they're going to give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash, plus a free pick. Plus, these boosts have been pretty wild. If you're unfamiliar with the boosts that they add, you can just make whatever slip you want and then just add an additional boost on the multiplier overall. I think on the board today, there's a 31% boost. Yesterday, I saw a 51% boost. So it's a lot of fun. They're going to be running boosts all of October, and then I'm sure they'll be running discounts and specials throughout the rest of the month as well. So yeah, you can go through the link in the description, or just make sure you use code BACKDOOR when you sign up, and they will hook you up with all of those goodies. And we're also partnered with Sleeper. So if you want to jump on Sleeper picks, if you're playing Sleeper fantasy football anyways, might as well sign up for the picks, because their platform's a lot of fun as well. And it's good to diversify the platforms you're on. So for Sleeper, just use code BACKDOORFS. Just add the FS on the end of the code, and they're going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. They have alt lines just like Underdog. They have plays as low as $1. So yeah, and they're running discounts every day as well. All right, so these are the plays we're going to be getting into. I like Brandon Ayuk to go over 4.5 receptions. I'm getting this on Prize Picks and Underdog. And then also I like Kenneth Walker over 22.5 receiving yards, taking both of these for more and getting the same lines on Underdog and Prize Picks. What are you getting into, Jordy?
Yeah, I'm going to be taking Juwan Jennings for over 30.5 receiving yards. And then I'm taking DK Metcalf for over 13.5 fantasy score. I'm taking that on Prize Picks. And on Underdog, we're getting it at 11.5 because it's half PPR over there. So,
all right. Well, let's just dive right into this thing. This is looking pretty sweet. So we have a 49, according to FanDuel, they have a 49.5 point over under. San Francisco favored by 3.5, which means, almost a 50 point over under. This should be like loaded with options for DFS and for fantasy football. So there's a lot to be had in this game. So I'm really hoping that it lives up to expectations, but I think it will. I think this is going to be a good primetime game for us. Let's get started here with, I got Kenneth Walker up, so I'll start with Kenneth Walker here. This is an EV plus play on Outlier. So they're feeling like this is worth throwing a couple plays at. The matchup is great. The 49ers are 26th in receiving yards allowed to running backs. He's been on a heater, and he's been getting a lot of targets. So if we take a look at his targets over the last 2 weeks, he had 5 against Detroit, and then he had 8 against the Giants. Now, the Giants, they were playing in Seattle, and the Giants actually showed up and played a really good game without Malik Nabers. So I loved that, because I love that you just can't write these teams off yet. Some teams, Carolina Panthers, they're in heavy rebuild, stuff like that. But the Giants were supposed to get better this year, and then we were kind of starting to write them off like, oh, it's the same old Giants. But they went into Seattle and they controlled that whole game without their rookie stud wide receiver, Malik Nabers. And so the Seahawks were playing from behind. It wasn't like a huge deficit, but they were playing from behind. They were having a lot of trouble getting things going. So Geno Smith was just dishing it off to Kenneth Walker, who had 8 targets. He turned that into 7 receptions. So you can go a couple different ways. You could take a couple different like routes with Kenneth Walker. I like the receiving yards because of the big play upside for him. Yeah, he put up 36 receiving yards on Detroit and then 57 against the Giants in that game. So you don't have to take the receiving yards if you don't want to. I'll explain why there are other options, but I want the receiving yards because he could do this on one catch. Like we know how capable he is. He's very electric. Kenneth Walker has exceeded 20.5 receiving yards in 4 out of his last 5 games at home, averaging 35 receiving yards per game. That's just a little extra note from Outlier. The pass versus run rate for the Seahawks, they pass the ball a lot, 67%. We know Ryan Grubb has really turned things up ever since he took over play calling in Seattle. So this is a very exciting offense. I like the DK play. I like JSN. It's just Seattle is a much more electric offense than they were last year with Shane Waldron. So let's take a look here. So if we look at these other options, this is the only reason I wanted to talk about this. So this is the DFS optimizer from Daily Grind that I'm on right now. And their favorite play is Kenneth Walker's receptions to go over 3. So if you're more comfortable with that, just take that. We're not here to tell you that you have to take our plays. We want you to go with your gut, and we're just here to show you information. But for me, I'm going to be taking the receiving yards, even though they're favored to go under. 22.5 is higher than other platforms are putting this line at for now. That could change later. Underdog has it at 22.5 as well. But some of these platforms, like FanDuel, has this all the way down at 19.5. So the nice thing about the DFS optimizer is you can take a look at that and say like, well, why take it on Prize Picks? I can go over here to FanDuel or BetMGM and get it cheaper. That's just a little perk about having the optimizer. You can see all that in one place, but I think he's going to go well over this. This matchup is super juicy, and Ryan Grubb all offseason was talking about how he wants his running backs catching the ball. He was very definitive early on in training camp that Kenneth Walker is the guy. Zach Charbonnet is great. He doesn't have that extra burst that Kenneth Walker does, but Ryan Grubb has been all about Kenneth Walker, and Shane Waldron never utilized Kenneth Walker in the passing game. And Ryan Grubb, we just kind of were assuming like, okay, so Kenneth Walker, he's an explosive running back, but he's not like a pass catching back. That's what we were all saying. And then Ryan Grubb was like, yes, he is. Like, he can catch the ball, and we're going to throw him the ball. And he's been super productive when they've been throwing him the ball, and 8 targets to a running back is a pretty big deal. So I like him to be able to go over the receiving yards. I think if he hits his 3 receptions, he's probably going to be over this 22.5. And there's a chance it could go the other way. So the optimizer's favoring this one to go under because it's higher on Prize Picks at 22.5. So they have it at a 51.21% odds to hit the under at a -123. I'm not going to let that deter me. They've got his longest reception at 11.5 favored to go over. So if one of these are already at 12 and they're expecting him to go over 3, that means he has 3 more to get another 10 yards, according to what these top 2 plays are saying. So I just want the opportunity for him to break one off that could, go for 30, 40 yards. And then it's like, we're good to go. So go with your gut. I'm taking the receiving yards over, getting this on both platforms. Let's talk about Brandon Ayuk. It was so good last week to see him getting heavily targeted, and it looked like the rust had finally been removed from holding out through training camp. And we know the athleticism's there. We know he's capable of being a wide receiver 1. Dude was an absolute stud last year. And I think it just took him about a month or so to really get back into NFL starting form since he hadn't been practicing with the team and whatnot. So we saw last week he went for 8 receptions. It was pretty efficient. He got targeted 12 times, pulled down 8 of them. You can go with the receiving yards if you want, but he doesn't always hit the receiving yards. I'm thinking if he goes for 5 receptions, he'll probably go over 65 yards. But I would be more comfortable taking that if it was in the 50s, as while he went nuts on 8 receptions against the Cardinals for 147 yards, these past weeks when he was kind of shaking off the rust, he was staying well under that 65 yard line, even when he was hitting his receptions. Against LA, he had the 5 receptions, but did not get that 65 yards. So I think that Brock Purdy he was like definitely utilizing the connection with Brandon Ayuk last week. I think he's going to do it again this week, but this is a tougher matchup. They're 8th in receptions allowed to wide receivers and 16th overall. So it'll be a little bit tighter for the wide receiver game, but we know that part of that being sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about the Seahawks for a second. That's my bad. But yeah, so 8th in receptions allowed. I just think with a 49.5 point over under, there's no way Brandon Ayuk doesn't come down with at least 5 catches in this game, in my opinion. Their pass rate is not as juicy as the Seahawks. They're only at 52% pass plays, but that's also they haven't had Christian McCaffrey in there who can do it all. So they've been kind of like with Jordan Mason while he's been starting. They don't really get him involved in the pass game. So they've been just going with, traditional run plays a little bit more often. But yeah, I like him to get this done. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a bounce back from Deebo Samuel and Jauan Jennings. But I expect George Kittle to be heavily involved again. But Kittle and Ayuk are just awesome, just kind of over the middle of the field, a little bit deeper of a threat, and they get utilized in the red zone. So I like him to go for over 5. If we take a look at what the optimizer has for Brandon Ayuk, they have his 4.5 receptions as the best play that they're identifying on Prize Picks for Ayuk. 52.56% odds to hit the over. They have this up at a -131, and literally every platform that has this at 4.5 is favoring it to go over, which you like to see. It just kind of confirms that that's the consensus across all platforms. Some as high as a -140 and a -145. So some of these platforms are really juicing this to go over. So feeling good about this. If you guys do want to check out this DFS optimizer from Daily Grind, it's a killer tool. It'll help you cash more often, I promise you. Especially the more you start to understand. It's like this type of app that, like, it's pretty easy to understand when you first start, but you start to figure out different ways that you can utilize it. Like I was saying, you can look for getting a better deal on another platform. You have all that right there for you, but you can also confirm, is the consensus across all markets? Are they feeling what I'm feeling with the narrative I built about this? So it can just tell you a lot. If you guys want to try it out, just go to dgfantasy.com and use code BACKDOOR. You get 25% off of your first subscription, and you can stretch that out for up to a year if you want. So you want to finish up football season, you want to go through all of basketball season. It's really great for basketball because there's so many plays on the board. So it just helps you identify pretty quickly where some discrepancies are. So yeah, dgfantasy.com, code BACKDOOR if you guys want to sign up there. And then for Outlier, if you guys want to try this app, just go through the link in the description and they're going to let you try it out free for 7 days. All right, that covers both of my plays. I'm going to pass it over to Jordy.
All right. Yeah, so to get me started into mine here, I've got his Jauan Jennings play. I love Jauan Jennings in this matchup. I think all these receivers are going to eat, but Jauan Jennings is just one of those guys who can get a play like this done in one go or 2 catches. So I really like this play. He's done it every game this year except for the last game against Arizona. Him and Deebo Samuel were really underutilized, but he did have 4 targets in that game. He just was only able to haul in 1 against Arizona, so the targets were there for him to get a play like this done, and he already had 13 yards on just the 1 catch alone. You can see that when it comes to the passing plays, he's second in targets. That was because Deebo was out for a little while, but now George Kittle and Deebo are creeping back up on him here, so he's kind of slipped back into that role he used to have of just the couple target a game, really big play guy. And I think he'll continue to get utilized in this offense. He's just way too good to not get the target share that he's been getting. I expect him to get 4 or 5 targets in this game as well. He just needs to haul in 2 of those to get this play done for us. So I feel really good about this one. We just need him over 30.5. Matchup to the Seahawks DBs is pretty tough. I mean, 6th in receiving yards allowed, 10th overall in receiving yards allowed. So a little bit of a tough matchup here, but I think he can definitely get it done. They've got a lot of people to watch out for in this offense, so it kind of helps Juwan get open a lot of the time. If we look at this play on Daily Grind, we've got Jauan Jennings. This one's favored to go under at a minus 119. It's a 50.23% chance to go under. So if you're not liking this play, you don't have to take it, but I'm going to be rolling it for sure. I like this one a lot. So definitely going with that. And then if we look at DK Metcalf here, in the head-to-head, he just missed this the last time they played San Francisco. He went for 13.2 fantasy scores, so just barely went under. He actually had a fumble in this game, so that went against him. He had cashed this, but the fumble took that away. But in the last 5 games of this season, he's gone over this 3 out of 5 times. In these big primetime games, he's been crushing this line. Like against Detroit last week, they were down a lot, and he went for 16.4. I think it's going to be the same situation for the Seahawks in this game. I think they're going to be down. I think they're going to be trailing. I don't really know for sure. I know the Niners are favored by 3.5, but the Niners have been having some problems too. They're not looking totally, like the dominant force we've seen from them in the past. So, but I think the over under is accurate. I think they are going to be leading this game for most of the time. So I think we're going to see Geno really slinging the ball again tonight. I thought Geno's pass attempts looked pretty solid too. Just as like a little honorable mention that they're at like, but in my opinion, this one just depends on game script because it's at 36.5. So they're really going to have to be behind for him to get over that. But I mean, DK's fantasy score looks great. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot tonight. And I think, he's obviously like their number one, even though JSN is, really showing up when it comes to the target share here. If you look at the targets, let's see if we can pull it up. They're not showing me it right now, but yeah, anyway, I just really like this fantasy score line. I think 13.5 is really low. If he scores, he's definitely going to cash this line. So hopefully it's just a really fun, like high scoring game like the one against Detroit. And DK goes over this no problem. I think if we get the 49.5 over under that they're giving us. So really excited about this game. If we want to look at this on Daily Grind, I thought I had it pulled up. So DK Metcalf's fantasy score is juiced to go over. It's a 50.34% chance to go over. His receiving yards are juiced to go under 66.5. So if you feel any way about that, but his targets are juiced to go over. So it's just kind of weird, the lines in this game. They're being real safe about like what they're giving you on the overs or the unders. So I feel really good about DK's fantasy score in this game. I think him and Kenneth Walker are really going to eat tonight. So that's going to be my 2 plays. Like I said, we're getting this one on Underdog at 11.45 because it's half PPR over there. So kind of just the same exact situation. We just need him to either get in the end zone or just have a monster receiving yard game. But that's going to be my 2 plays. If you guys want to check out Chalkboard, I actually just got an email from them. They're doing a new user special. So if you go right now and sign up for before tonight's game, they're going to give you a 0.5 Brock Purdy play to play. And they're also going to match your first deposit up to $100 if you use code BACKDOOR. So definitely go take advantage of that. You'll get the free Brock Purdy play to throw into your lineups, and you can alter all the lines over there. So if you're like, hey, Jauan Jennings is going to go way over 30.5 receiving yards, you can go bump him up to like 45.5 or 55.5 and get a really high multiplier on him. You can get up to like a 3 or a 4x sometimes on these plays. There's a lot of really fun plays over there too. There's like first reception of the game. Sometimes there's like first score of the game, and you'll get like a 9x on some of those plays. I remember in the first Monday night game, I think it was the Jets, I took Breece Hall for the first touchdown of the game, and he ended up cashing that, and it was like a 9.5x. So there's a lot of really fun plays you can play over there. If you guys want to go check them out, there's a link in the description for that. Like I said, use code BACKDOOR and get that free Brock Purdy play tonight, and you'll get your 100% deposit match up to $100 as well. So that's going to do it for me, and I'll pass it back over to Russo.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting into some Chalkboard tonight. With Chalkboard, if you guys are already on there, it's a really fun platform, but with the single game slates, because of the same game parlay setup that they have, I tend to make much smaller slips. I don't know if you guys have noticed that if you're a chalkboard user, but Sundays are awesome because you're not dealing with the same game parlay situation. But yeah, on the single game slates, I like making like 4-mans or like boosting like some 2-man slips, just making hedge bets, which are a lot of fun, and just going for the max cash. And then on Sundays, I just mix it up and make some wild, like, flex plays, the shield play. But come follow us on X if you haven't yet. We're getting a lot more active. We're on X, we're on Instagram. We're going to be just dropping different types of bonus content. We have all of our handles in the description of the video. You can follow me, Jordy, Moose, our other analyst. And if you guys want to come join our Discord, we've just been having a blast over here. Moose, our boy, has been on a heater since Sunday. He's just been killing it. We've talked about it before. He's like the 2-man maestro, but he just stacks it up with these 2-mans. There's one right there. That was from, I think that was from Sunday night. But yeah, if you want to come join the community, we have a lot of fun, and we talk football, we talk all sorts of sports. Guys are getting into esports in here. And also I want to shout out Boston Nick, one of our homies in here. He had this killer on Sunday. I probably can't find it, but he had this killer 6-man that he made with like, it was just like a ton of different sports. I think he had WNBA in there, might have some baseball and some football, and he cashed a couple 6-mans. So shout out Boston Nick. But if you guys want to come join us, I'll show you what to do. You just go through Patreon. They manage our subscriptions. So go over to Patreon, sign up for our premium subscription. And once you're signed up, you just go into the settings and then click the connected apps option in the menu bar. And then you can see, you just click and connect your Discord. It'll log you in. And then you can kind of just come right into the channel. And if you do that, make sure you hop in community chat. Let us know you're new. I know there's been a lot of new members joining, so welcome to all of you guys. But not everyone is letting us know when they're new. And you don't have to, but we just want to welcome you and make sure that that if you are new, we want to just point you in the right direction. Make sure you know who the analysts are and how you can get the most out of the community. But we'll be in there tonight. We've been just enjoying the community chats, just on fire during the game. So we have a lot of fun. So yeah, that's going to do it. Don't forget, we are about to jump right into our fantasy football starts of the week. So if you guys play fantasy football, we'll have that up for you as soon as that's done. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Good luck, guys.